Thank you. Hello, everyone. How are you? Okay. Let's continue with the lecture from Master YongHua Chanti instructions.
当时还有一位法师，也是修禅宗的，也是印度。这位法师叫什么名字呢？
At that time, there was another Dharma master. He also practiced Chan schools and was also Indian. What was his name?
这叫僧伽达多。僧伽达多，翻译过来这个意思就是重热。
His name was Sengqie Dado, which translates into multitude heat.
这位禅师专门修禅，常常呢在山里头静坐。
This Chan master specialized in practicing Chan. He often meditated in the mountains.
他一坐啊，就把常常就忘了吃饭，不是不想吃，他就忘了吃。
Once he started meditation, he often forgot to eat. It was not because he didn't want to eat, but he just forgot.
到吃饭的时候他就忘了，过吃饭的时候他也不想再破戒。
He would forget about lunchtime. Once lunchtime had already passed, he didn't want to break precepts.
他也是过午不食。但是在这样情况之下，他也常常愿意这一天也不吃饭，吃过很多次这样情形。
He also didn't eat past noon. Under such circumstance, often he preferred not to eat that day. That happened many times.
So why? How could he forget about eating and not feel like eating at all? How is it possible? Because he was not hungry. Simple as that. Why can't he? Why wasn't he hungry? He wasn't hungry because his stomach was full of qi. When you meditate, you fill up your tummy with a lot of qi. And that's why you feel full quite often. You don't feel eating at all. However, if you decide to eat, though, the hunger comes very quickly. As soon as the juices get going, as soon as you have something in your stomach, then eating is no longer a problem. You will feel like eating. Okay, but that's normal. It's nothing, no big deal. Actually, it's a pretty good way to lose weight. Meditate. Will reduce your desire to eat. Yes, sir, 9. I detect some interest.
Thank you, Master.
You're welcome.
I was just going to say thank you for articulating what's happening when we meditate. I remember when I followed your instruction and crossed my legs for a part of a goal I was trying to achieve. After I crossed my legs, I drove an hour, rode my bike for about 30 miles, drove another hour, and then still didn't eat for probably a couple hours. And I didn't feel hungry. It was pretty, like I thought I should be hungry, but I just didn't feel the need to eat.
Yeah, that's what in Chan is called 禅悦为食, meaning the bliss of dhyana as food. That's a typical. When we enter samadhi, we enter dhyana, the chi builds up in our stomach, and it feels good. We don't need to eat. Actually, eating becomes a burden. It's a nuisance because it forces our stomach to work, the juices to flow, and therefore it's annoying actually. It feels better. I remember when I was at Long Beach Monastery, and there is this young monk, when we were practicing our Chan Chi amongst the young novices. There was a Caucasian man who liked to meditate, and he did it religiously. He practiced meditation from whatever discipline. Could be Buddhist, could be non-Buddhist, and so forth. But he was in his 60s, maybe 70s, and he was practicing, he was joining us for the Chan Chi, and he liked it. He liked the fact that he liked the intensity of the thing, and then he was meditating. Of course, he couldn't last as long as we did, but so he was offered tea, and the monk in charge was telling him, drinking tea will help you stay awake longer and will help you last longer in your sits. And he says, I said, no, I'm fine. I don't feel like drinking tea. He said, but that's what we meditation people do. We drink tea when we meditate, especially in a Chinese tradition. He says, no, I feel perfect right now. So you see, he could enter samadhi, and it happens to everyone, not just at all levels. It's very typical. Whether you have enter low level of dhyanas or samadhis or higher levels, it's the same thing. Your chi fills up and you don't feel like eating, and it feels perfect. It feels so comfortable. Yes, nothing is lacking. So it's the kind of joy that you naturally experience from meditation. Okay. And you practice long enough, hard enough, you go at it long enough, you will naturally feel that way, and you're free from all these urges to eat. Now you have a choice. All right, and it will be clearer when you get older and you realize that, that peace, that tranquility. You'll spend your entire life chasing after flavors, okay? Yearning for flavors and fragrances, because eating is both flavor and fragrance. And you finally found independence, freedom from that. And it feels very, very nice. So that's what the typical Chan experience for many practitioners. Continue.
咱们以后呢， 他就来了护法。什么护法呢？是一帮巧鸟，一帮巧鸟。
Later, Dharma protectors came. What Dharma protectors? It was a group of sparrows. A group of sparrows.
一到了吃饭的时候啊，这个巧子就叼一个苹果来给他吃，那个呢就给他送一个橘子。
When it was lunchtime, this bird would bring him an apple for him. Another one would offer him an orange.
Must be tiny oranges, must be tiny apples. I don't see a bird carrying our homegrown apples that Masisientong grows, or dragon fruits. Okay, continue.
那一个又给他送一点呢，这个从而言之吃能不饿的东西，没这。
Another one would offer him something else. In short, anything edible that can fill his stomach.
Like worms? Never mind. Yeah. Hinayana people eat meat. Why are you looking at me? You're so discriminatory. Continue.
香蕉啊，或者这个其他的能吃的东西，总而言之，那一帮巧啊，有多少个呢？有48个。
It could be a banana or other edible stuff. How many sparrows were in this group? 48.
这48个，你看一个人一个巧叼一点东西，48个也就够他吃。
You can count one sparrow brought him a little bit of food. 48 of them got enough for him to eat. 本来最初啊，他不知道这个巧是来给他送来给他吃的。 Initially, he didn't know these sparrows were offering food to him.
那么经过几天呢，这个巧送了放到他前边，他不吃这个东西呢，这巧也不走，巧也就陪着他在那儿挨饿。
After a few days, the sparrows put food in front of him and he didn't eat. The sparrows didn't leave, they accompanied him and starved.
他饿长了，他就想，释迦牟尼佛呀，还有这个猴子给他送蜂蜜去，送蜜糖。释迦牟尼佛就把这个蜜糖吃了。
After a long time of starving, he thought Shakyamuni Buddha had a monkey offering him honey, and Shakyamuni Buddha ate the honey.
那么佛既然可以应这个猴子的供养，我又何尝不可以受这个巧鸟的供养呢？
Since the Buddha can accept the offering from a monkey, why can't I accept the offerings from birds?
于是乎，他就把巧鸟叼来的东西他就吃了。他这一吃这48个巧鸟他非常欢喜。
So he ate the food brought over by the birds. Once he ate, all 48 little birds were very delighted.
那抱 跳，在这儿好像跳舞似的，给很高兴的，那么来给他做娱乐，来令这个法师很高兴。
They jumped around as if they were dancing. They were happy to entertain him, to please the Dharma master.
因为这两位法师的影响，所以当时中国的一般出家人修禅习定很多。
Because of the influence of this Dharma master, at that time there were many monks in China practicing Chan and Samadhi.
那么当时开悟的人也很多。还另外有一位法师，叫这个僧切罗多多。
And many became enlightened. There was another Dharma master named Sengche Lodo.
翻译过来叫众记，记就是救济的济，也就是能帮助众生的意思，就是三点水加一个齐字，齐国的齐，齐土烟寒照那个秦那个齐字，叫众记。
It translates into multitude aid, meaning help living beings. His name was multitude aid. 这位法师呢，也是印度人，他到这中国，他定在外边住，不住在房子里。 This Dharma master was also Indian. He came to China and always lived outdoors. He didn't live indoors.
或者在树下，或者在坟间，行这个头陀横。他各处去这个乞食，托钵乞食。
He lived under a tree or between graves. He practiced asceticism. He traveled around begging for food, alms begging.
不受人奉承，也不和任何的人来往。谁想和他做朋友，他也不做。
He didn't accept offerings from others. He didn't associate himself with anyone either. Whoever wished to be his friend, he refused.
当时一般人呢，也对这位法师，特别的恭敬。以后这位法师
At that time, ordinary people were extremely respectful towards this Dharma master. Later, on the south side of Zhong Mountain, this Dharma master built a temple and constructed a jingshe called Songxi Temple.
Yes, nine.
Thank you, Master. I think that's the first time I'm seeing the word vihara.
Yeah.
Is that another name for a way place?
Vihara is, yes, is a way place, but more like a pure place. Not really a place where you would call temple, which is more for worshiping. You have statues and people go there and do ceremonies, whereas the pure place is more or less a place where you practice meditation and things like that instead of worshiping activities, I think. Chinese people, help me out. But and I hear these stories and I have so many questions and I just curious to why no one at the time asked him. You know, like the guy who the birds, the sparrows gave him things, and I said 48 sparrows each bringing one apple, one orange. That's 48 pieces. That's a lot of stuff. What did he do with the food waste? Huh? And then, you know, and you sort of wonder, you were in his place, his shoes. Would you refuse the sparrows' offerings? And when they dance for you, are you supposed to be rejoicing? Is that a distraction? Or I mean, how come no one ever asked that at the time? It's weird, these students of his. And I guess I don't belong there. To me, it's just too unusual. And then final question for that guy, for the particular Indian monk, is that if the sparrows offered him fruits and then danced for him, how did people find out? Huh? You think that the sparrows are pretty have keen eyesight. Anyone who comes near them, they would disappear, right? So how did people even find out that he was offered food by the sparrows? Did he tell them or what? I mean, you know, it's fun to have Master YongHua relate to you these stories, but isn't that also a great opportunity for you to ask him, Master, is there something, you know, that we need to know about these monks, these practices? Yes, Jane, did you find out what's Jingse and whatever? Or are you busy doing something else?
Thank you, Master. Jingshe, according to Wikipedia, the Sanskrit is vihara.
Vihara, yes.
And so...
What's the difference in Jingse and Su Miao?
It says, and It could be having two meanings, and one is means the temple. The other it refers to the Sangha's residence.
Yeah, the Sangha's residence, so you don't necessarily have a place where ordinary people would come in to worship or whatever. It's a private residence.
Right. So that was the reason when we do the translation, we separate the temple and the Jingshe.
Okay, thank you for pointing it out to me. I didn't realize that has two meanings. Could also mean a temple.
Yes, at least according to Wikipedia.
Well, you shouldn't trust Wikipedia. I find Wikipedia to be very biased because these people certainly are not qualified. You know, all those people. Wikipedia was published by people who had time to write things. Because I look at many of these descriptions, yes, they're very useful. However, technically speaking, they're quite off when it comes down to Buddhism, Mahayana in particular. So somehow you Mahayana people would not write Wikipedia, only confused Hinayana people would write articles on Mahayana, it seems to me. It seems like. Yes, go for us.
Hello, Master. I'm also looking at the slightly different Wikipedia. Maybe some.
Another Wikipedia addict, yes.
But then I think from what I remember, something interesting is that Qiyuan Jinshe, basically the famous one it's essentially the one that Qi Shu Ji Gu Du Yuan, like where it was mentioned often in the Buddhist Sutra.
Okay.
Stayed with his Sangha and then spoke many sutras.
Yes.
So basically the first temple and then second temple in Buddhism all called Jinshe. The first one is Wang Shechen Zhulin Jinshe.
Okay.
The second one is the Qiyuan Jinshe. So it does seem like also this Wikipedia also says that basically originally temple is called Jinshe. Then focus on where it's actually there's a big yard where it's located in some place open and with a lot of land.
Men, no women.
It was not mentioned in the source.
Land, no women. Okay.
Another famous one, Nalan Tuo Si, was the famous one that the Master Xuanzang, sorry, I forgot how to say that in English in this moment. But the famous one where he went to study Buddhism and stayed, that one is also called Jinshe.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The first way place that's built, that's known in our Buddhist historical records would be the one at the Jeta Grove or whatever. Okay, and so was called Jingse. And therefore, it's a place of abode as well, but also served as for the Buddha to lecture. Okay, and probably back then there was no ceremonies at all. This is basically a place where the monks and nuns would stay and then cook and eat. People come and eat, and then the Buddha would lecture to them, because back then there were no ceremonies at all. Yes? Seven.
Oh, since so I'm looking it up at Britannica If you think you might.
Britannica now. Now you go to the British, who are very, very biased. They look down upon all of us non-pale-faced people. Okay, go, continue. You have to understand their biases before you listen. Yeah.
Of course they do, and they colonize India for years.
And never really,
But it does say that vihara refers to the early type of Buddhist monastery.
Monastery, but not necessarily for ceremonies.
That's true. Consisting of an open court surrounded by open cells accessible through an entrance porch.
Yeah, that's it. That's the use was for people to dwell there, to dwell there, and then for the Buddha or the master to lecture, but not necessarily like a temple we know it today. Okay, so anyways, it's just for our own reference, the historical information. So this, okay, thank you very much for your input. I think I'm happy with that. So this guy, he built a Jingse, okay, so built a temple, fine, and construct a vihara. And they call it Sung Si Temple. Okay, was there any other comments? I commented, this guy, what did he do again? He practiced asceticism, travel begging for food, okay? So only beg for food. I don't know why, what you were doing. I was listening to this and I have so many questions. Something wrong with me. He didn't accept offerings from others, didn't associate himself with others. How on earth did he build a temple again on Chung Mountain? I mean, I imagine you need at least some sort of nails, or you didn't use nails, you need to have some sort of things to saw, okay, or hammer. And how could he build the Chung Mountain? I mean, there's no one asked Master YongHua. It's so weird. Yes, sir, 9.
Thank you, Master. Yeah, I mean, from a purely general contractor perspective, there seems to be resource gap details completely missing from the story. I mean, building a temple is one thing, but building a temple on the side of a mountain is another thing entirely.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and then he has no friends. How on earth could he bring up construction materials, building materials? The reason I ask is because for us it's some practical considerations. I need to explain to my sanghas, my monks and nuns. If you do these things, you have to be prepared to face the consequences. You don't associate yourself with people, then don't expect to build a temple. Okay, or if you accept offerings from the sparrows, you better be prepared for them to dance for you, and so forth. It's all very practical considerations. I'm from that perspective. I'm amazed at how people just listen and listen and listen. No one asks questions. You just believe everything you're told? Okay, anyways, there's lots of missing information. And to me, there's a gap between him cultivating ascetic practices and building a temple. That's two entirely different endeavors. And where's the common denominator? How did one lead to another? Okay, that's very important to me. How did you switch from ascetic practices to building a temple, a vihara? It would be so interesting for me to find out. Anyway, because for us, to be able to do ascetic practices is such a manly thing, like going in the jungle and live in the jungle by yourself. It's takes a man monk to do that, And I always, aspire to be able to do it one of these days, before it's too late. But then to switch from that back to, civilization. Why? I like to document why. I like to know why. Like in the Thai tradition, Ajahn Mun, he lived for 20 years in the border between Thailand and Laos and the other countries, practicing ascetic practices. And that's how he became enlightened. Simply practice every day, recite every day, Buddha, 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 Buddha. Okay, Buddha, Buddha, Buddha. That's all. Okay? And he became a fourth-stage arhat. And then he decided to move to the cities and started teaching, accepting disciples, and founded this forest tradition. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And as you sort of understand why, and it made a huge difference for the future generations. But this guy here to go from that to that, I failed to make the connection. Anyway, continue, please.
所以当时印度的法师很多的，他是中国。
At that time, many, many Indian Dharma masters came to China.
中国的法师有很多去学习印度传统的道。
So many Chinese Dharma masters studied the principles of Indian Chan school.
这是这3位大德高僧简单的世界。
These are the brief stories of these 3 great virtuous eminent monks.
As far as the Chinese masters studying and learning from the Indian Chan masters, any Indian experts can help us shed more light on that. My personal opinion is that from what I've seen from these stories, I feel later the Chinese patriarchs really excelled. They developed their different lineages and teaching methodologies to the point where at the peak of Chinese Buddhism in the Tang Dynasty, the Chan school was flourishing. Great number of superb, superior patriarchs and Chan, good known advisors, appeared in China. And to the point where the Chinese Chan took on a very, very, very beautiful, profound connection, profound practice that is really very, very effective at training the Mahayana in China. Whereas I read stories about the Chinese master like Xuanzang master going from China to India and staying there for 14 years and finding himself learning the language, going to universities there, learning from the great teachers there, and then debating the Indian masters. Okay, and to me, that shows that the Indian Mahayana tradition was still too skewed towards intellectual pursuits. And they didn't have any really strong Chan lineages from India. And I'm just simply opening my mouth, stating what I know from what I know. That's why I'm curious. I like to challenge you and you Indian experts, Sanskrit experts, to shed more lights, help us shed more lights on this, because I never had the chance to compare Indian Chan technology versus Chinese Chan technology. Okay. Hey, can we leave it as a challenge, as a request for more clarification from the Indian Mahayana experts, if there's anyone left? Okay. I feel that from what I heard from Master YongHua's stories and what I read, and in history books as well, I feel that Chinese Chan is so advanced. Anyone? Is one of the most advanced Chan tradition in Buddhism I know of. Of course, because of that, I'm curious as to how it would compare against Indian Chan tradition. But from my own knowledge, Indian is more into debates, more into the theory and the shastras, instead of the Chan practices that the Chinese are known for. Because I find the Chinese Chan school to be the most profound in all of Asia. And no other country can even hold a candle to it. They all had to go to China to learn. Anyone, any Sanskrit expert, Indian Mahayana experts. If that's the case, you know what's going to happen? If that's the case, the reason I bring it up, because if you agree with that, then there's no point in learning Sanskrit anymore, in my humble opinion. Because Chinese Mahayana is better. Will take you a lot further. For me, if you do translation from the scriptures from either the Mahayana scriptures into English, yes, it makes sense to consult different sources, so that what they mean, Sanskrit sources, Hinayana sources, Chinese sources, and so forth, so that you have a better understanding, and so that you can translate better. But I feel that maybe it's not necessary anymore. Maybe you simply study Chinese, specialize in Chinese, old Chinese. If the Indian Mahayana is not as profound as Chinese Mahayana, why waste time? I'm serious. I'm curious about this. I'll just bring it up, throw it out, put it on the table to get your feedback. Go ahead, go for it.
Emitofuo Master, my opinion is when you enlighten, and especially the patriarch's lineage, you receive the mind seal. So you should understand the whole thing, and depends on the society you live in. You behave accordingly to the conditions. Buddha back then also a few times debate with the externalists, and I think maybe that the way to teach them or the way to plant the seed for them, because the people on that region, they behave like that. So the same thing when later Venerable Xunchuan came over and learned and debated. It doesn't mean that he wants to convince other people that he knows more or less, but that the way the monk or nun over there they learn, and that the method for Venerable Xunchuan to bring them over to other shore or to teach them. The Bodhidharma came over to China, and he didn't debate very much because of the language, but he still can produce a very good student, Venerable Huệ Khả or the second patriarch. So I think depends on the region and the situation. The patriarchs act accordingly. We cannot just say that the newer generation are better than the older generation, or we are now much better than our chip grandfather. We cannot say something like that.
Okay, thank you for those very thoughtful comments. Okay, very good. Maybe our investment in you are beginning to pay off. Just kidding. Okay, let me point out to you in counter arguments. I'm not trying to debate with you. Okay, but if you say that the Buddha debated with the Indian externalists, actually to the externalists, they look at it as a debate. To the Buddha, it was not a debate at all. He basically was teaching them how to better debate without thinking. You see, remember all the stories of the Buddha debating the externalists? You know, like the uncle Shariputra who read everything and memorized everything and then prepared for all sorts with all sorts of materials and plenty of time to prepare for all the questions for his upcoming debate with the Buddha, a challenge of the Buddha. What did the Buddha do? Buddha says he never thought. Whatever Shariputra's uncle, whatever his name was, Kondinya or something, Mahakostila. Whatever he said, Buddha simply retorted without thinking. That's what he's trying to teach him. Don't think. You see that? It's not a debate at all. It came across to the people not in the know, like, was the Buddha debating with all those people? Well, actually, when the Buddha talked to Shariputra, his uncle, or the other externalists, it was never a debate, because debate means you have to use your mind, your thinking mind, to debate an issue. Buddha never debated. So I respectfully disagree with you. He never debated at all. It's only the people, to the Indians, to the people who didn't understand, who are not enlightened, would understand, would take it as a debate. But there was never any debate. And true to the same tradition, when Bodhidharma, great master Bodhidharma, went to China, did he debate at all with Cheng Guang? Not at all. Same thing. He said, whatever Cheng Guang said, Bodhidharma immediately retorted without thinking again. You see that? That's Buddhist debate, by the way. That's exactly what happens between the Chan masters in China. They never really debated each other. The Chan retorts were actually done without thinking. Okay? It's like punching without thinking. So there was no debate at all. Okay? Listen, in English, when you talk about debate, it makes sense to you, right? When I debate something to you, I'm making an argument to help you understand my viewpoint. Okay? You're convincing others about your viewpoint. Whereas in a Buddhist debate between the Chan masters, there's absolutely no trying to prove your point. It's more like, I'm teaching you. So let me point out to you, in Chinese Chan, I've noticed so far, I've learned so far, I've read so far, there's no debate whatsoever. And that is why, my proof is that is why the Chan talks between the Chan patriarch and Chan masters, no one understands them. If there were a debate, there's basis for us to understand intellectually. But there was no debate whatsoever. That's why no one understood what they were saying to each other. No one. Agree or disagree? I ask all of you now. Not by Indian and Chinese. I ask all of you. Like all the Chan anecdotes, they make sense to you at all? No, not to me. Yes, go for us.
Emitofuo Master, that's the conversation between the two enlightenment. But when one enlightenment person and another unenlightenment, like 6 pages talking to Xuan Hui, the young kid, try to mimic those stuff. We can understand that. And between one enlightenment and one not enlightenment, it will show right away. So what we learn from the patriarchs, those are way beyond our realms, because they didn't use the thinking mind, but when the unenlightenment, then it shows. But we don't know what Venerable Xinchuan debate to other Indian monks, because there are no record written down what they're talking about. We just know that Venerable Xinchuan won all of it. So maybe the other was not enlightened.
Okay, point number 1. You reaffirming my point. That is, the enlightened teachers, they didn't debate their students. Even between the two enlightened teachers, they didn't debate at all. Okay? So much less for an enlightened teacher teaching an unenlightened student. There's no debate. There's a teaching. Whereas Xuanzang, he debated with the Indian masters or not, they probably did, because he went around the country debating the other masters as per their tradition to demonstrate their understanding of Buddhism, Buddhist principles. There was a debate. Okay, clearly there was. And Xuanzang excelled, and he defeated all of them. Okay? And which to me showed that Xuanzang was not that great as a monk. Let me tell you. Master YongHua never tried to debate with me at all.
Yes, Master.
Because he knew I was stupid already. There's no point in debating someone who's more stupid than you. You know you win already. I mean, whatever the other guy says is stupid to you already. You get my point?
Yes.
He basically said, do this, do that, you idiot. In parentheses. There's no need for a debate. Debating is a waste of time. If the other side, your opponent, is not open-minded, is not willing to listen, what's the point in debating? You can tell right away. Okay? And what's the point in wasting your time? There's no joy in demonstrating you better at all. Actually, it looks bad from a third party's perspective for me to, as a third party observer, watching a patriarch, making a fool out of another, patriarch or another monk or another externalist. It's no fun in that. It's embarrassing. You should know already that no match for you. There's no point in debating at all. One look, you can tell, that monk disciple is stupid already. There's no point in debating. There's no way he can understand what you're talking about. And finally, my point is that Vimalakirti Sutra, he out-debated everyone, if you will. We could use that term. Out-debated all the visitors until he talked to Manjusri, who is number one in wisdom amongst all the bodhisattvas, mahasattvas. Did they debate or not? No. That's Indian. Supreme Indian wisdom. No debate whatsoever. That's why I feel Xuanzang to go around India to prove that he's adequate and he's knowledgeable. It's a waste of time. He's better off learning Indian chant. Yes, go
Master.
forth.
Yes, Master. Thank you, Master. Yeah. I think that maybe that's the reason that Venerable Bodhidharma came to China about 50 years after Venerable Xuanzang to bring meditation or chant to China.
Maybe, yeah, maybe because Xuanzang only brought back the books, didn't bring back the chant technology. So, yes, go forth. Still any comments? Any other comments from there?
Master, I was just going to comment that if Master Xuanzang win as being regarded as winning by the Indian community at large at the time, that probably means they were debating at a lower level. Because per your point, I think the Chan masters, when they talk, nobody else would know who win. It's beyond the audience's understanding that what happened.
Yes, and the point I want to emphasize is that if you need to use debate to prove you have superior wisdom, then you have no real wisdom at all. That's why I'm not impressed with Xuanzang's wisdom. And the great news for Chinese chant is that Bodhidharma transmitted really the Buddha's chant technology to China, to Huike or Shengguang, because Shengguang did it right. Never put emphasis on debate in Chinese Buddhism. That impresses me. Okay? Any tradition that stresses debate, to me, is too dependent upon the words, upon the language, which is an inferior form of Chan. Yes, 7.
I just want to point one thing, is Master Bodhidharma went to China first, and later Venerable Xuanzang went to India. So just, it was one of...
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Okay,
No,
absolutely. Yes.
Got it wrong. So
Yes, absolutely. Okay, but the point, regardless, the point is that Bodhidharma transmitted the pure Chan, the supreme Chan, to China. Okay, that required no sutras whatsoever. Okay, sutras were transmitted later for other reasons. Okay, to broaden, to make Mahayana more palatable to a greater number of people, because not everyone was able to kneel 9 years after the teachers as a requirement to be taught. That's too much. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube comment, and I also have a question. Personally,
would you like to go personal first or the comments first?
the Dharma Assembly has abstained from a vote. I will go with the YouTube comment first.
Okay.
I would like to give my gratitude to our YouTube audience who is joining us from wherever they are in the Saha world. We currently have over 50 people attending our live Dharma talk across English, Vietnamese, Korean, and Chinese channels.
So we didn't lose any since last night. I've known, I tell you a funny thing. It used to be the case, we didn't have any inter-temple and all. The internet's very spotty, coverage very spotty from Blue Mountain Temple. And one night is 20, next night like 3 or 4. It's commonplace. Now a steady, head count like that is impressive. Something is wrong.
Especially in an environment like this where there's so many holiday activities to compete with.
Yes, and travel headaches. Maybe those folks are stranded at airports.
And if I may, for our YouTube audience and Wayplace attendees alike, if you were to like, subscribe, and ring the bell notification on the YouTube channel,
Okay.
You are doing a small meritorious deed that can help others encounter the Dharma, and I really appreciate it.
What's amazing too is that when I'm here at Way Mountain Temple, is a lot of people show up. When I'm not here, no one shows up. But look at Gold Forest. The kids are coming regularly every night.
Okay, thank you. I digress. YouTube comment from Way Mountain Temple Apple. I believe it was necessary for Venerable XZ to debate in India in order to get accepted, so they would be willing to offer him the sutra to bring back.
XZ is Xian Chi. Huh?
I don't think she's referring to Master Z in Korea. I think it's the Master
Xinjiang. Oh, okay.
Xinjiang.
Okay.
Thank you, Jane.
Sorry. So repeat again. I was.
Yes. Way Mountain Temple Apple says, I believe it was necessary for Venerable Shenjiang to debate in India in order to get accepted, so they would be willing to offer him sutra to bring back.
What do you think? Is it important to be accepted? You want to be accepted? Look at her. She's Korean. I'm asking a Korean nun. You want to be accepted? Is it important for you to accept? Hey, shorty. Is it important for you to be accepted? Huh? Huh? I'm asking you now. Huh? The Koreans, it's a Korean cultural thing. They have to be accepted. Okay? I'm asking you now. Why is it so important to be accepted? 其实苏灭玄奘 wanted to be accepted in order to whatever. Baloney. Why do you have to be accepted? If you come to a monk and do things in order to be liked, to be accepted, chances are that when you meet a good monk, you will not be liked, you will not be accepted. Only the bad monks would like you and accept you. It sounds like a Dharma glimpse. Have you thought about it? This is what's so wrong about Buddhist disciples. They come to the temple with a worldly perspective. They do things to be liked, be accepted. And you know, and the only temple to accept them, would accept them and like them would be worldly temples. And that's the danger you run. When you go there according to spy number 1 here, you know, he had to be accepted. Maybe it's a case, but then Shenzang would be disappointing to me. I'd be so disappointed. And that's how he carried himself to represent Chinese Buddhism. Then the kinds of people who'd give you things and things he received are inferior quality. Yes, second question.
Thank you, Master. Well, that does lead to my second question. But first, Brady McBride has a response. I'm interpreting here. He says it's not important to be accepted as long as you stifle your ego.
Exactly. Why have to be accepted? There's no one that needs to be accepted. No need to try so hard. Be yourself. Come on. Just be yourself. Be your imperfect, your ugly, your despicable, your evil thing. Just be yourself. And and somewhere in that yourself there, your Buddha nature will shine through and say, hey, I'm a Buddha too. I have the right too. Go ahead, JC, and we switch back to you.
Hello. Hi. Master, in Korea,
Hello.
Master, in Korea, we have something called wangta. Wangta is like, if you're an outcast, everybody in your group will make sure that you're one of the outcasts. So if other people in the group don't treat that person as outcast, that person also become an outcast. It's cultural.
I have to ask for the real Koreans, first of all.
I used to be real Korean.
So there's an outcast concept in the Korean culture, yes?
Younger in elementary school, it's really intense for somebody to become an outcast in this culture.
Okay. It's okay to avoid being an outcast because you don't want to be an outcast before you're strong enough. Okay, that's wisdom. But when you get older and you now have the choice, Now you establish yourself. You have to consider transcending those restrictions. Why? Because you want that not to happen to your children. That's all. It's okay. It's about you doing something about it yourself. We're not here to judge a culture, a system, and so forth. I'm talking about you, individual choices. Okay? And whatever you want to do, all we're doing is we training you, we're teaching you Chan, we're teaching you the sutras and so forth, so that you choose to do whatever you want to do with your life. That's all. And you don't have to worry about it. When you're strong enough, you don't have to worry about it. Yes, back to 9.
Thank you, Master. I have 2 comments. One about the standard Bodhidharma set, and then a second about why the monk would choose to debate.
Yes.
First comment, it is possible that Bodhidharma set a very high, unattainable standard as the original Han Solo of Buddhism.
Who is this from?
Han Solo, he's an international...
No. Who is this comment from?
Me.
Oh, from you. Excuse me. Who else? Hallelujah. Yeah, of course. It's so obvious. Excuse me. I overlooked that Han Solo reference.
But Bodhidharma is the one who brought Buddhism to China by wrapping a sutra in wax and then putting it inside of his arm, right? And then taking it across the border that way. That's the story, correct?
No, not. There's a different Han Solo. It's okay. Yeah. He only understands from Han Solo perspective.
Yeah, Han Solo would put stuff in the Millennium Falcon and smuggle it across the border. That's the... Okay, never mind.
No, that's a Shrangama Sutra. It's different.
Second comment is, it occurred to me that accepting the debate, while no one wins in a fight, you do gain the audience of the debate. And if that was a large audience, you have the opportunity for all those people in the audience listening to encounter the Dharma, which could far outweigh as a benefit the cost of being perceived as a debater and a fighter.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with you. There's a time where you want to appear to engage in a debate. Actually, you're not debating. That's my point entirely. You appear to be debating, but actually you are teaching. You pretend to be debating for the sake of a lesser person, to bring him up to be at the best so that you can teach them. There's a reason why you want to do that, but it's not a debate for me personally. It's a teaching thing. And the advantage of doing that is that you're teaching that person how to debate as well, better. So there's lots of reasons why you would appear to engage in debates, but there's no debate whatsoever. Okay? And that's why I'm advocating that when you listen to the stories, you should have your own critical thinking. He said, I grew up listening to Master YongHua tapes and reading his story. He said he was lauding how Master Xuanzang was over there defeating all the 16 or 14. Were there for 14 to 16 years and defeating all the Indian masters at debates. And we were saying, wow, it's so, Master Xuanzang was so special. And now looking back, I said, my God, no one even questioned that? No one among my master's disciple ever even questioned that story. Now I'm questioning it because I find debate is such a waste of time. There's no point in defeating someone you know is inferior to you. There's no point in sparring someone because if you spar, they're going to get hurt. They have to beat you up so that they find out they can't hurt you. Because that's the only way they learn. But you don't want to hurt them. It's just not a boxing match. You know they're stupid already. You know they're inferior already. Because you do it, they're gonna get very, very hurt. You don't want to do that. Understand? Only stupid and underhanded people would impose a will on others. If you are better, you say, okay, so you're a kid, what are you gonna do? Yell, scream, break things, do your kids' things. Because I'm an adult. I can put up with it. And shame on you. You should know better. You and your people. Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. And I would also put forth, again, I don't know the monks' true intentions, but I'm just guessing, that if you have the capacity to enter the debate, knowing it's not a debate, with good intentions to benefit others, and you can take all of the punches until your opponent is completely tired. Once they're tired and have no more punches to throw is when they start listening. And you gain another audience member, and you help benefit them too.
Absolutely. Why do you think that on Friday night's chant class, we spend time explaining to you, hey, spy number 1, explaining to you about the Chan patriarch's instructions. You could call it a debate, okay? Like Master Wei Shan teaching his students. You could call it the great master debating his students. Or we put it in terms of the master teaching his students. Actually, it's the debate. Think about it. Okay? We do it because we want the English-speaking audience for the first time to understand about this mysterious Chan dialogues that none of the Chinese masters ever tried to explain it to their disciples. It's the first time in American Buddhism, American Mahayana, we explain it to you in English. Yes, it's not the whole thing, it's not everything we could explain to you, but at least it gives you a glimpse of what's really going on, how the Chan teachers taught their disciples, which remain a mystery to the Chinese people. Right, Chinese people? Do you have, what's the closest document you have in Chinese that explains how these great Chan masters explain to their pupils? The closest one you have is Master Huineng's explanations in the 6th Patriarch Sutra, which is only like in one of the 2 chapters, a few chapters, and that's it. Whereas there's a wealth of dialogues between the Chinese Chan masters. It's incredible in depth, incredible in color, in subjects. Now, of course, we won't be able to understand it because of regional differences, because of cultural differences, because of languages and so forth, okay, vocabulary and so forth. But what we could understand could be translated to show you the beautiful canvas of the Chinese Chan, to me, is so superior. And let me assure you, there's no debate whatsoever. It's advanced instructions for his disciples, their disciples. Zero debate. Why not? Because debate is a waste of time to me, personally. Yeah. I encourage you to ask questions. I encourage you to challenge others' understanding. Okay? And that's part of our learning process. We're all learning. Okay? But to me, it should not be interpreted as debating. It's discussion. It's exchanging viewpoints. There's no attempt to show you better. The teacher better know the students' level so that if you see the level already, there's no point in debating anymore. Okay? That's what happened in our lineage. Master Wei Shan look at the students, say, that's what you are. This is what your question. Your questions verifies, tells me, confirms to me where you are. That's how I'm going to teach you. How? That's why I'm going to teach you to help you, bring you up. It's no debate whatsoever. Okay? Now, so it brings me back to the final point again, is unless I'm challenged, unless I'm provided with information, I feel you don't even need to learn Sanskrit anymore. Just learn Old Chinese. That's it. Because Chinese Buddhism is so superior. Chinese Chan is so advanced. You spend your lifetime learning about the Chan masters in Chinese. It's just a lot more productive. Because I don't feel that, like my master's approach of learning Chinese and Sanskrit and various languages, to me, is very productive. I'd rather you learn Chan and then you go back to the original text and you understand the text, what it means, not the words. Because the Chan is beyond words. Who cares about what languages you use? And why do you have to learn so many languages for? Okay? So until proven otherwise, you guys should learn Old Chinese. That's good enough. Don't waste time learning Sanskrit or whatever. I'm trying to save you time. I'm too old to do these things anymore. Yes, Master Xinjie.
Yes, Master. About the Buddha's teachings that were given in Sanskrit or some variation, would it help to access his teachings in any way?
Personally, I don't know about your individual preferences. Personally, if I had the time, okay, I would not need to learn Chinese anymore. I would not need to learn Sanskrit anymore. Whatever I have, I'll be able to understand. So for me personally, I don't feel that I'm lucky enough not to have to waste my life learning Sanskrit, for example. Chinese is bad enough for me. It's tough enough for me. For me, personally, it's efficiency. I don't have time to waste. Life is too short. And Buddhism is not conveyed by languages. Language is like the old man said, is simply a finger pointing to the moon. If you find a way to get to the moon, you cut off the finger. You're done. Who cares about Sanskrit? We know a source of something called Chinese language is so superior, so vastly superior. Until I hear otherwise, why waste time? You look at Chinese masters. The first American patriarch is vastly superior. He's Chinese. He's got there learning Chinese. No need to learn Sanskrit. Why do you have to learn, the more nuances of Sanskrit that were not properly translated into Chinese? Who cares? Until your future generations, when you English-speaking people, okay, will be higher level in Master YongHua, and that's when, okay, and then the Americans, the English-speaking patriarchs, will be at similar levels as the Chinese patriarch. I say then, forget the Chinese even. Why waste time? Yes, 7.
Yeah, I just want to comment. For example, Venerable Huinan, he doesn't even read Chinese. So the knowledge and the language is so limited. And also in the recent history, Venerable YongHua, and if you look at, he's supposed to only have a few years of formal education, but he knows so much. And so to me, it was very obvious he got the knowledge not through the regular learning, not through just reading, because otherwise how come he knows the stories of all these venerable monks from the ancient times? So this is not through any languages.
Right, precisely. And therefore, don't pride yourself, I'm a Sanskrit expert. I have no Sanskrit. I know Chinese, therefore my translation is more accurate than yours. I don't know Sanskrit, but I can tell this. I can spot the places where your translation are incorrect. How's that? Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. Thank you, Jane, for your comment. And I would just like to point out to people listening from wherever they are who don't know that this is coming from a member of the Ivory Tower saying this. So it carries significant weight when I hear you say that statement. Thank you.
Ivory Tower? What's that?
A college professor?
Oh, the Ivory Tower. You call the college professors? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever, adds more weight to our point. Yes. All right, very good. Anything else? Anyone else would like to discuss? So we agreed. We save you some time tonight. I've just saved you some time. Just learn Chinese. Forget about Sanskrit. Forget about the Indian stuff. Yeah. Okay? And forget about the debates. Meaning that you don't have wisdom yet, you feel like you must debate and prove yourself. Don't, because you have no wisdom. It's funny, I met this Korean monk who is the highest level Korean monk I met so far. So I said, well, this trip is fun. I met so many of you now. I'm so happy. So he said, so who else have you met? I said, I met that monk. He said, you know what he said? He said, I don't like him. I said, of course not. You don't like him because he's, not your level. But then I chuckled inside. I said, but you should like him. What's wrong with you? He's doing a lot for Korean Buddhism. What have you done? He's doing something. You sit in your corner doing nothing. What good are you? That's not Mahayana. Chan is more than just sitting there. That's not Chan. Look at Master YongHua. He didn't sit there. He worked his butts off. Killing himself. That's Chan. When you understand Chan, that's what you do. Okay, now we're at the same junction again where we have 10 minutes left. I don't know what to do. Well, if I get started, then I will be half finished again. Yes, 9.
If only to complement the theme of the conversation so far this evening, the discussion so far this evening, Master. I believe it was 2 or 3 nights ago, you emphasized how, for English speakers, you could just start with understanding the English, regardless of the translation from the sutra. And I really appreciated that. I can learn some Chinese, but I know I'm not going to learn to read Chinese, much less understand it to the level that many people in this Buddha Hall have it. And I would also say how much I feel like I'm sitting in the room with Great Master YongHua whenever I read any of his translated sutras and commentaries. It is so impactful to me. I'm so thankful for it.
And thank you for reminding, for stating that again. Again, it's very important for us to share what's important for the new generation of Buddhist students, or as well as the old generation of Buddhist students. It's very important to point out the good work that they did in translating, and it's under Master YongHua's supervision, clearly. And he created a machinery, a system that's excelled. It's so vastly superior compared to all the scholarly work. All the scholarly work is like amateurish compared to theirs. And it's so inaccurate, the scholars' stuff. That's why when I first started, let me tell you, 25 years ago, we were to encourage to read the scholarly translations as well, because at least reading something. But now, with the multitude, the abundant text that they've translated into English, and it's a tremendous treasure right there. Just read it, because it's so comprehensive, it's so vast, and it's so useful to everyone. Because Master YongHua is the only monk I know of who can explain everything in layman's terms. Very profound principles, okay? He did that in Chinese. That's why I enabled them to translate that into English. And that's all you have to do, okay? I encourage you Chinese, Koreans, and so forth, okay? If you're able to have access to his material, is by far the best. And that's worth repeating over and over again for people to appreciate the kind of treasure we have, the Buddhist treasure we have that's available. Okay, and we don't, and by the mere fact of us, recommending it or introducing it is tremendously helpful for us as well. So don't be shy about it. Okay, make it available. Encourage people to read it and take advantage of it, because it's fantastic. It's such a wonderful treasure. Okay, and then of course you need to give them a caveat. And once you get beyond that, you get going and get beyond that, and you also need to be aware that it also has limitations. So therefore, you need to complement it with ours, English sources as well, because ours is more advanced than the level of English Dharma we're conveying is quite a bit more advanced than theirs. That's just the way it is, believe it or not. And they may not believe it, but what happens in the future, 1 or 2 more generations, when more and more of you will assert yourselves, and it will show, the people will then realize that the results speak for themselves. Okay? All right, only trying to save you time, that's all. But we're doing great. And thank you all. It's also important for me to say this, because I don't say it often enough, that I'm so grateful for your enthusiastic support, all of you. Your support in translation, in supporting our work, supporting the temples, and being kind to the people who come and make people, newcomers, feel welcome, and all the efforts you put in. It's nice. So kind of you. Okay, let's do more, so that this is, in a way, we are sort of a small island of hope, where everyone else is chasing after fame and profit. All we do is trying to help you do something, become a better man and woman. It's funny, can I relate you this story here? I was growing up in Vietnam, and I was bipolar. So bipolar people, you feel bad all day, and you blow up without any real reasons whatsoever, and you destroy everything in the process. Sounds familiar? You destroy relationships, you destroy your house, you destroy your career, and so forth. Sounds familiar? Huh? And so that's how it is. But the one constant that for me was at a very, very young age, I was driven to improve myself. That's the one constant that never changed my entire life. Try to become a better person. That's all. Don't know how, didn't know how, not sure I know still, but the drive is always there, that just want to be a better person at any cost. If the legs hurts, I can't walk, or I'm abused, or and so forth, I'm attacked and so forth. But if it helps me become a better person, I don't mind. It's so interesting. And maybe that I hope that someday you will find it something along that line as well. And to me, I attribute that to my blessings. That's what, in spite of all the failures, all the difficulties, all the screw-ups, all the small successes, the one constant is still, I want to be better tomorrow. That's all. I'm not trying to prove anything. It's about myself. I want to be a better person. That's all. That's good enough. And if anything at all, I like to instill that in you because it's fun. It's fascinating. It's so much to learn. Your potential is unlimited. Don't sell yourself short. That's all. Don't let anyone tell you that, So in a way, forgive me for coming across as if you're not good enough, because I'm not good enough. It's not you, it's me. Go forth.
Hello, Master. I'm wondering that if the self-improvement has a limitation, like self-improvement still has a self in it, did you at some point drop that?
I never dropped the ego. The ego is part of the fun. If there's no ego left, there's no more fun. What are you talking about? Do that?
You miss it.
Yes, 9.
Thank you, Master. We have a YouTube comment from Diego Alfonso. Amitofo, Master. For me, the material Master YongHua left is amazing, but to listen to it while you explain the depth of his teaching is simply wonderful. Amitofo, Master.
Thank you. Okay, you caught in words. It's about you. Let me explain to you the concept of self-improving. As long as you're not a Buddha yet, you have so much to improve. Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you all. You're so special. Maybe.